One of my biggest problems with Major League Baseball and most fans is guaranteed contracts. And when you sign a player for 7 or 8 years, what if they don't deliver? And it feels like the Cubs may be in the midst of another bad long-term contract. Dansby Swanson, year 2 of a 7-year contract, feels a lot like Jason Heyward. Both former Braves minor leaguers didn't get the offer from the Braves, end up signing with the Cubs, and then not delivering. We're going to get into that. You give me your opinion. Tell me what you think. Is there a parallel? Let's talk about it right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like and subscribe. Get in the comments section. Make sure you share with your friends. And let's get this show started with a big Go Cubs. What do you say, everybody? It's Mick Gillespie. Welcome to the Cubs Baseball channel. And let's get right to it and talk about this. Dansby Swanson, the new Jason Heyward. It's starting to feel like that's certainly the case. As the Cubs struggle, it's obvious that Dansby Swanson just isn't hitting. And this is really early in a long-term contract. Dansby Swanson signed a 7-year, $177 million contract last offseason. So we're not even through the year 2 of this contract, and there's already a big issue. And you start to look at the parallels between him and Jason Heyward, who signed an 8-year, $184 million contract and didn't hit, just like Dansby Swanson. And honestly, Jason Heyward early in the contract even had better numbers. But right now, Swanson, through his first 225 games, has a .232 batting average, a .312 on base percentage, 30 home runs, and 107 runs batted in. And this year, it has been one where he hasn't really done a whole lot. I mean, just to be plain and simple, and as the Cubs look for answers, he's not the answer so far, and he's paid to be the leader and the guy that comes up with the big hits, and he hasn't done it. And it's so weird how the Jason Heyward deal and the Dansby Swanson deal feel so similar. Heyward came over from the Cardinals, but he was a Braves minor leaguer. And the Braves, they saw something that they didn't like with him. From what I was told, it had something to do with his rhythm and his swing, that they didn't feel like he had the right rhythm to hit the baseball consistently. And they had some kind of testing system that they did, and we're not going to sign him. He goes to St. Louis. Cubs signed him from St. Louis. Actually had a pretty good year in St. Louis the year before the Cubs took him, and the Cubs made a risky wager. They thought, hey, Heyward's about to turn the corner and become a star player, and all he did was just sink. He's played better for the Dodgers in 1-year contracts than he did the entire time he was with the Cubs during that 8-year deal. Now, all of a sudden, you go from that deal, you finally get it off the books. The last year, they just let him walk. And you sign Dansby Swanson to a 7-year, $177 million contract, and he's already not living up to it. He's already a player that you look at and you go, we got to get this guy out of the lineup. He's not hitting. But like Heyward, both guys play really good defense. They've both been consistent there. It's not an effort issue with both of these guys. They run the bases well. They do a lot of things well, but and including winning Gold Gloves. But when it comes to paying out those big deals, teams are expecting that you're going to deliver and you have to hit, and neither guy could hit. And that's the problem with the game of baseball, is that you sign these guys, and I guess it's the really management's fault for giving them that kind of a deal, but you're stuck. It's not like the NFL. If you don't run the ball anymore and you're a running back, you can get released. Baseball, you're responsible for that entire contract. And there were years that the Cubs had Heyward playing right, knowing that he was just going to pop it up or ground out weakly or strike out a lot most of the time. I don't know how many weak ground balls he hit to second base or weak pop-ups or whatever. I mean, and I know that you guys were there. You saw it too. Swanson's becoming that same player. You're not getting a whole lot of production out of him. He looks defeated right now, like he's in a funk that he can't get out of. But if you're the Cubs and you're looking for answers, this is the guy you paid to give you answers. This is supposed to be the team leader. Heyward in 2016 made the biggest speech in Cubs history, and I think a lot of people, including me, are never going to forget that. But eventually, you got to live up to your contract. And that doesn't feel like what's going on right now with the Cubs. So you look at the Cubs record, you look at all the problems that they're having. Where do you start the turnaround? Well, you start with your team leaders, and you start with the guys that you've paid to go out there and produce, right? So that would be Dansby Swanson, him, Ian Happ, who I can't say anything bad about because the only time the Cubs win are the games that he has big games, it seems like, and then Cody Bellinger. Those guys have to get this going. Throw Seiya Suzuki in there. Those guys have to get going. But it starts with Dansby Swanson. He's the one that's got the long-term contract. He's the one that's supposed to be the team leader. If the Cubs have sunk themselves into another one of these bad contracts, I think a lot of people are not going to be happy. Now, Dansby Swanson still has a chance to turn things around, and it comes with him figuring out a way to start getting some hits. He's got to become someone in the lineup, but are you going to put this guy in the 3 spot, a 2 spot? He's always felt to me like a 7th or 8th hitter in the lineup. And on good teams, you're down there and you got men on base and you're in spots where you can do some damage. On bad teams, you can't put a guy that's getting paid that kind of money in the 8th spot. You got to have him producing up top where he's getting more at bats. So that's the question. And that's where we are right now. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. Like and subscribe, comment, and hopefully I'm wrong. Argue with me. Tell me why I'm wrong. But I really feel like every time I watch this team play that the Cubs have just found themselves right in the midst of the Jason Heyward number 2 and Dansby Swanson. All right. Thanks for hanging out, guys. And we will continue to talk Cubs baseball right here on the Cubs Baseball Channel.